Hey, this is WhyBeAre with BeamNG.drive, and today we're going to be taking a look at a mod called the Codename oldsfullsize. And if you're thinking, WhyBeAre, haven't you reviewed this vehicle before? The answer is yes, but I was never really happy with the way that review turned out because I was trying to do too much in one, because this mod also has mods for it, and I tried to do all that in one video. Way too much content for a single video, so we're going to split it up this time. For this video, we're focusing on just the base vehicle itself, which looks suspiciously like a 1980s Oldsmobile Delta 88, but I'm sure that's purely a coincidence. Anyways, let's get this thing up to speed and just crash it. I see a perfect place to crash it straight ahead, and we're going to actually be going a lot faster than I expected. We're going to be going about 55 miles per hour on impact. Right into that. Ooh, that's actually a pretty nice crash. It pops you up a little bit, and then the front end gets damaged. Now, how does the damage look? I would say that looks pretty reasonable for the impact. Can it still drive? Let's find out. Ooh, it is pulling hard to the right here. I can steer a lot to the left and keep it mostly straight, and we're actually able to get up to speed. So we'll try to do a little bit more with this, but I really can't steer it much. How about this? We just drive it into the dirt over here and see what happens. We'll do a little bit of slow-mo with it, just so you can see what's happening a little easier. Nothing much going on, but there's the crash, which actually didn't do that much damage to the front. It still looks pretty reasonable. It's hard to see anything though because it's upside down, so let's just reset this. And we'll try to do a crash that doesn't end with the car on its roof. It can flip and roll all at once, just end up on the wheel so it's easy to see the damage. If it ends up on the roof again, I will flip it with the node grabber. And before we do the crash, I gotta mention, this car looks so mean in black. I don't think any other color on this car could look better than black, to be honest with you. How about we do the exact same thing we did last time, but at a much higher speed. We're gonna still use 2x slow-mo. And then, let's see, will it land upside down? Or will it land right side up? That is going for an upside down landing unless it gets a little bit of help. We'll just grab it right here and then yank. Oh no, don't you roll over on the other side there. Alright, good, we're good. So we can actually take a look at the damage. And although the black looks really mean, it does make it a little bit hard to actually see the damage on the vehicle. So we'll give it maybe a little bit less of a mean color, like just a gray, so we can see things a little bit more clearly. Okay, that's the same color as pavement. That's a gross color. How about just make it bright orange? Now we can see the details really well. And looking at the deformation here, all of it seems pretty nice. I got no complaints about that. Now, does it drive? Not really. I mean, yes, we can technically accelerate, but I'm trying to steer to the left here, and we're crashing into the wall to our right. We can't steer is what I'm getting at here. Although we're up to 30 miles per hour somehow, and now we're stuck. So it was great while it lasted for all of 100 feet. But I want to drive more than just 100 feet, so we'll get a fresh car and let's drive more than 100 feet out of this area because I'm tired of starting on the highway. While we do this, we can take a look at the interior. Now, no matter how nice the exterior looks with the black color, the inside will always just look like a 1980s vehicle. But it's a real nice looking 1980s vehicle in terms of detail, and it has all the little details I like to see. Like the gauges here, they're those ugly 1980s box gauges, and it's just funny to me. Like, you look at this thing, okay, there's 75, look how far away 85 is. Like, how can you tell if you're going 75 or 80, or how can you tell if you're going, what speed am I going? I don't know, the speedometer literally disappeared. We have no clue what speed we're going with that gauge. It's hilarious. Oh, we're going too fast, that's the answer. But we also have all the other smaller functionalities I like to see. You got the steering wheel, you got the pedals. You even have a parking brake down in the lower left of the footwell, but it's really hard to see because it's kind of just darkness there. Let's see if we can brighten up the day a little bit by tearing the door off. Maybe that'll make it easier to see. So hello, door, and goodbye, door. Nope, that didn't actually tear it off. Should get a little bit of brightness in here, though. Here, we'll get a nice camera angle. Maybe we can see it a little clearly. Okay, there, you can just barely make out its shape because there's still kind of a shadow there. But you can see it moving back and forth right there. And that is proof that it has a functional parking brake. And that is a parking brake, not a clutch, because I'm hitting the parking brake button. So I tore the door off, but that shouldn't affect the way it drives. We can keep on going. Oh, and in addition to that, though, we also have the ability to light up the dash. And the way it lights up looks so retro. Like, it's not like a modern dash where the numbers light up. It's like we got a single light bulb that makes everything a bit brighter. That's it. That's how we do it in the 80s. Like, it just looks so cheap compared to how they do it nowadays. It's awesome. And then if you put the high beams on, there's another light that lights up, and we're going to enhance to be able to see it. So there's a blue light right there. You see that blue light coming on? Boom! And that tells you that your high beams are on and you're blinding everybody, and you really need to turn them off if you're blinding people with them. And also, if you use the blinkers, the little piece on the stock does go up and down with the blinkers, as well as lights on the dash to tell you your blinker is on. And one thing I just now realized, no vehicle in this game has ever had a sound for the blinkers, you know, like regular cars that go tick, 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 tick. I've never had one in BeamNG.drive that does that. Anyways, we're up to pretty good speed. We're going, I don't know, miles per hour. I can't read the gauge. Hold up, is it like, what does it say? There's no speedometer there, so we're going probably like 80 miles per hour. Let's see, we'll go to the outside. Yeah, 80, 90 miles per hour. And we're gonna try to crash this thing, but can't really see where we're going. It does have a couple of other interesting camera angles. We have one that's like, almost hood cam, but it's like at the back of the hood, so I'm not sure what to call it. We also have one that's a passenger camera. And then we have one that's right by the wheel, so you can see it going over bumps and stuff kind of camera. I don't want to crash yet because I do want to do that interior crash I promised. I just had to go through those cameras to get back to this one. I just gotta imagine though, what would you tell the officer if you get pulled over? He's like, do you know how fast you're going? No, officer, I really do not know. My speedometer is really only readable up to about 75 miles per hour. Anyway, I'm trying just to find a good spot to crash. I don't really, ooh, that looks good. I'm about to say I don't see nothing, but then I saw the perfect spot. Right there. Oh, yep, that's slamming your face into everything. This is why we have airbags, folks. I don't think this thing would have an airbag if you look at the steering wheel. Oh, maybe it would. Nah, that's too thin. That's too thin. This car would not have an airbag there. All right. So the interior got a little bit shredded. We got lights going off on the dash like crazy. Hey, fasten your seatbelt. The engine's broken. There's low coolant. Your check engine. Okay, let me check my engine real quickly. Let's see here. How is my engine doing? That's still there. It's fine. What do you mean check engine? It's totally fine. That car got mangled on that, but that actually is a really nice looking crash. If you can find something that thin but that solid, that's about what I would expect it to look like. And it's funny. Looks like you have little eyeballs right here. Just like, oh no, I've crashed. Wow, that really did bash that thing good. That's a nice looking crash. All right, well, let's get to the regular camera. Got to go through them all to get there. Now this is dead, so I'll pull it back a little bit. And I made sure not to reset the car back where we were earlier. Now this car does have custom sound, so I'm gonna let you listen to those real quickly. So that should give you a pretty good idea of what it sounds like. Doesn't sound like a sports car in any way whatsoever. It just has this big, lazy V8 sound, and boy is it lazy. It only revs up to a little bit past 4,000 RPM, which is nothing. Now in terms of driving feel, it's about what I would expect. It's a lazy, wobbly car that'd probably be great for comfort. Not so good for just sporty driving, but it's perfectly drivable. It's not like, oh, this car handles so badly I can't even drive it around a corner. It drives fine, it's just not a sports car. And right here, we're going around the corner. We're sliding a bit. We can hold it. See, I mean, you can do things like that, no problem. It's just the car doesn't want to do that. What it wants to do is it wants to jump a cliff. I don't think we can actually jump it. Let's see though. A little bit of a hop. Now get up that wall. Oh, it's actually gonna do it. I've tried to do this before with other vehicles and none of them have been able to do it before. Olds full size, you're amazing. I have no idea what's down here though. Let's see. Anything interesting? Oh, we just got like some rocks and stuff. Oh my goodness. There's a hidden passageway, which I just rolled into. And it looks like we're basically gonna just fall forever. So we'll reset this. Which brings us back to the highway, but not the highway we started at. So I'm perfectly fine with this spot. And while we're here, we can take a look at the parts menu. Now, there's actually not much you can do in the parts menu at the moment because we have just the base vehicle. When you add mods to the mod, that's when you got a lot of options. But one fun thing you can do with just the base vehicle is you could actually remove the body from the frame. So you just have this thing rolling around where it's a couple of bumpers, a frame, and an engine driving all about. And actually, we can take a close look at the engine in the engine bay when the whole body is removed. And one of the things I like about this engine is the moving pieces right here. So all of the belts that would be moving in real life are actually moving on the engine. And I point this out because not even the stock vehicles have this feature. It's a pretty rare feature that I've seen only on a handful of modded cars. So I think it's pretty cool. Now let's get a body back on this car and we could just go and put the body back on, or we could just get a new one with a different color. All these colors here are pretty bland except for that orange, but we'll try out a light green and see what that one looks like. I don't know how light it'll really look. Ooh, that's actually a pretty cool looking green. Get a little bit of camouflage on it and nobody will ever see me. I'll be sneaking all about, except for the sound of a V8 engine grumbling all over the place. So I could sneak up easily on a deaf person with poor vision. Anybody else, they'll hear me coming a mile away. Anyways, what I want to do for a bit is try to drive this thing aggressively like it was a sport car. Yeah, I was driving it fast earlier, but we weren't really cornering. We were mostly going straight lines at high speeds. Now we're actually going to try to corner this thing, and it does not feel like it likes to do this already. Like that first corner, I shoved it through the dirt trying to make it corner as tight as possible, and it's just understeering saying, no, I'm a comfort vehicle. Stop trying to do sporty maneuvers. You can't stop me. I got an e-brake. And that would be so awkward actually if you were using the e-brake the way I'm using it here, because I'm like tapping it to kind of get the vehicle to turn in, and I don't know how you would do that with your feet. Like I could get doing it with your hand, with your feet, I got no clue. It's actually doing surprisingly well, and it's a lot more fun than I expected. Like that's one of the strange things is in this game you can get the junkiest car that would be no fun to drive in real life, but for some reason it's really fun to drive a car that was never meant to be driven around corners hard and just be like, yep, this is my race car now. I don't need to do any changes. The suspension is fine. I'm just going to smash the e-brake anytime I need a little bit more steering and let it understeer otherwise. It's really easy to drive like that too. That's the other thing. Like if you're going a little too fast, oh, tap the e-brake a little bit. You're going a little too slow, keep accelerating then. Like right here, just a little bit of e-brake. And we're good. That was about double the speed limit through there, which, I mean, that's not saying too much, because I could do that with pretty much any car, but it feels like we're going way faster than that when we're driving this thing. I don't know why. It's just a funny car to try to drive hard, I guess. So that's enough driving hard, and I just gotta find a good place to try to wreck this thing up. Let me see, is this a, nope, nah, that doesn't look right. I can find something better. Look at this corner. There's a little bit of a lip on it. Can we kind of ride that lip up? Yes! Yeah! That was actually really good. I got it to roll up onto its roof, and it's not going to get unstuck, so we'll pull it back to the road. And I want to rear end this car. And if I'm going to rear end it, I might as well use another Olds full size. So I want to make sure there's room to spawn it up. So I'll move the car up just a little bit, and hopefully it'll spawn right to my left, still on the road. And the one that's going to do the rear ending will be a mean looking black one. And now I'll move on up along the road for a bit. I want to be able to crash into it about 60 miles per hour. So once I see it read 60 miles per hour, I'll know I've gone far enough. It's actually going to require some aggressive driving to reach 60, but I should be able to hit them at 60 right about here. So we'll save this spot, and then we'll also put the parking brake on so it doesn't roll too far. We go back to the black one, and now we're going to pretend I'm a really reckless dude who's doing reckless things, and they're going to crash for some reason. I don't have a good reason. Look, we're here to crash, and we're going to do it, okay? That is a beautiful angled crash, and I want to get a nice camera angle to match it. So we go like right about... Now I want to be able to see the impact too, so like right here. Yes! And move the camera with the cars. Look at that rear suspension going. See that comfort suspension? It's so soft, it just bogs so hard. And then this one over here is doing the exact opposite. It's scraping. Oh man. Soft suspensions. That is the way we did it though in the 80s in America. Now, so speed it up to, well, not yet. We got a secondary impact coming right there. Take a look at that. And it looks like both impacts went pretty well. That second one was a lot smaller than I thought it would be. So taking a look at the damage here as both of the engines are grumbling at me. That one looks pretty reasonable. I see nothing to complain about there. How about on this side? Kind of hard to see it, but looks good. And for the black car, it also looks good, but we've already seen a few front impacts. Now this one looks like it can't drive actually. I was hoping it could drive because of how jacked up that rear suspension is, and I think it really is like that. Like if we pull it out a little bit, it stays like that, right? Yeah! Oh, that looks funny. I don't know if I could ever crash in a way that causes that again, but it's pretty cool. Now this one should still be able to drive, right? Yeah, it drives fine. It even seems to handle decently enough. So how about we let the green car have some revenge on this thing? We'll go ahead and park this thing sideways on the road, and then we'll smack it with the green car after we update it, of course, because it's no longer driving. So we'll put the parking brake on right here. Parking brake, there you go. Reset this car, and then wait for it to reset. All right. And we should be able to hit them at about 50 miles per hour. We're going to use, let's go with 100 times slow-mo on the side impacts, because those ones happen so fast, it's kind of nice to have 100 times slow-mo. So here we go. 16, and then get a good camera angle first. Which side do I want to see? I guess this side's a little bit cooler to look at because you get to see the rear of the vehicle because it's fresh. 100 times slow-mo. And that's most of the damage right there. Now it's just going to shove it, so we'll speed it up. And we could also slow down the cars with my parking brake. And we actually able to stop before we crashed. Cool. But we are stuck. So I'll reset that, and then now we can take a look at this. Damage-wise, that looks pretty reasonable for that hard of an impact, and the interior actually held up surprisingly well. I would not have expected to do that good. Alright, so now let's go ahead and finish things up with a good old leap of death. And we're going to go to the top, of course. But before we get this car to go off the cliff, there is one thing I want to do. I want to shoot it with a cannon. I don't know why I decided to do it here, but I think it'll work out good enough. I hope. So we're going to grab the old cannon. We're going to spawn it up. Then we're going to kind of line it up because it's all crooked and upside down. We'll set it here, flip it upright, and then stop. That'll work. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Now all we have to do is line up the vehicle with the cannon. It should be able to hit it, assuming it doesn't overshoot it. I mostly want to hit the roof, so this actually might work really good for alignment. Yeah, we're going to hit the roof and the trunk. That's fine. So back to the cannon, and we're going to do, how about 16 times slow-mo? Get a nice camera angle for this, and shoot the cannon. Ooh, that looked pretty good. That was a nice angle. I should do cannonballs from this angle more often. And there goes the car. Bye. I will reset it before we do a regular leap of death run, but I want to see how far it'll go from that little bit of momentum it had from being shot by the cannonball. And actually, it's doing pretty good. I thought it would get stuck by now, but it's probably going to get all the way maybe. It has so much downward speed, it has a good chance of that. The camera angle is really awkward, though. It's hard to see what's going on. Uh-oh, it might get stuck. No, it's still good to go. Okay, it's definitely going to get stuck because of the angle, though. There's a large flat area that we're approaching, and we're kind of going in line with the flat area, but maybe we're not. That kind of pushed me a little to the left. That pushed me back to the flat area, though. Well, there's a chance it might make it, actually. And if that's the case, do we need to do the normal one? We might as well, just to see that first impact. See, here's what I was worried about, though. This area right here, it's actually going to go right into the crevice, so let's see. Oh, that's too tight. That's too tight. Nope, it's stuck. Did a good job, though, for just the situation it was put in. And, you know, since I'm using the cannon, kind of curious, what would happen if we shot a car out of the cannon from this spot? Will that actually work well enough to get it to fly far, or will it just kind of droop down? And by the cannon, I do mean the large cannon. Alright, let's put the car in there first, and then we'll raise it up. So car goes here. Nice. Then back to the cannon. We're going to raise it to be about 45 degrees or so. Close enough to me. And then we're going to go ahead and do, how about 8 times slow-mo, and we shoot it. And there goes the car. The car's already ruined in the process of shooting it. The rear end just got smashed in. But it's got pretty good distance going. That's actually more distance than I get driving off the ramp almost always. This thing might make it like in 2 or 3 bounces to the bottom, which is rare. I will do a normal drive as well, but that was pretty cool. Actually having some fun on Leap of Death instead of just doing the same thing we always do. That's nice. So there's like 2 crashes, and it's going to be 3 or 4 actually, unless we get a really big bounce right here. Big bounce! Oh, we did get the big bounce. Well, the big rampening. At this point, it's just a mangled mess. But it doesn't seem like it's a mangled mess of polygons. It just seems like a mangled mess, which is what you want to see. So bring it back up here, and actually we'll bring it back all the way up here. And we'll move that cannon out the way, and then we'll do one final drive. And I'll do this in slow-mo on the first crash, and that's it. And we'll race the cannon down. I don't know what's going to happen to the cannon. I'm just going to let it fall. I don't know how my rear glass broke right there. It might have just been I teleported from too high up in the air. So we're going about 50 miles per hour here. Where'd the cannon go? I can still see it just barely off into the distance. Tumbling about. Alright, so first impact. Slow-mo is go! Kind of hard to see the details too well because of the black car I chose. Hell well, it'll be fine. You can see enough to know what's going on. You can see the engine is sprouted out of the car, trying to grow a new car or something. And we'll speed up. At this point, the car is just mangled, and there's not much more to look at to me. Maybe it'll stop right there. Nope, it's going to keep going. So you know what? I'm going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. I'll let you guys see this fall all the way to the bottom, but I might not be here for that. So until next time, this has been WhyBeAre. I'll see ya.